Let's think about the recent housing bubble we experienced. I think we all have the same picture, which is housing prices were going up and up. People were borrowing more and more money on these houses. Banks perhaps were too free to lend money, giving people mortgages on houses that might not have been so valuable. And eventually the housing market collapsed. People were left holding houses that really weren't worth the amount of money they had borrowed. People were walking away from the mortgages. Banks were in trouble. There was colossal financial failure. Big Wall Street firms were in trouble. The government thought it had to step in and so forth. How could such a housing bubble occur? If economics is so good, if these prices are these clever little messengers I've described, why didn't these messengers do their job? Why didn't they run back and forth and say, whoa, the price is too high, don't buy housing, don't construct more? Instead, we have people all over the country building houses, even though houses are now decaying empty in Nevada, California, Florida, and elsewhere. Something went wrong, and maybe economists are to blame. First, let me defend economists. You might say, how could economists not see the housing bubble? Economists are no better at predicting future fads than meteorologists are at predicting the weather next year, or physicists are at predicting where I'll be in 2 weeks. Economists are very, very good at knowing if the price of a wheat goes up now, here's what will happen tomorrow. And they're very good at some long-term forecasting too. But knowing what will happen in the long run in a housing market turns out to be very complicated. One reason it's complicated is that people are not just buying houses to live in them. They're buying houses as an investment. They're buying houses because they're afraid that if they don't buy a house, the house will go up in value and they won't be able to afford the same house later on. They are, in a sense, speculating in housing even as they're also living in it. It's very tricky to figure out people's speculation because it's about their psychology of everyone thinking prices are going up, I better buy now. And that's what we mean by a bubble. We mean that people are afraid to stay out of the market because they're afraid prices will rise. So they buy the item in question, or they see everyone else making money, they think I'll make money too. But then the price ends up having little to do with their actual demand for the product, that is their actual preference for it, and certainly has very little to do with the actual cost of assembling the inputs. Some people have faith that governments can intervene and control these bubbles. You know, in the housing case, the government did not see the bubble coming any more than the private market saw it coming. So there's a lot of disagreement there among economists about whether governments are part of the problem or part of the solution in bubbles. Again, though, that's something you need to study in the future because we can't afford too many bubbles in your lifetime.